Hey, what's going on, guys? The RG Epyon is here. I'm really looking forward to this one, as I have not built the master grade of this actually, so I won't be able to compare it, but I am really looking forward to checking out this RG. Always been a fan of the Epyon, of course. I'm of the generation that kind of Gundam Wing was my first introduction to Gundam, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it, of course. And the Epyon always stood out as such a cool design, and so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. It looks like it's going to be a really fun kit with some really interesting stuff going on, so let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. So starting off with the box art here, we got the usual RG style box with the close-up of the face, and then the full design CG rendered there with some weathering and stuff going on it even. Just to give you guys a close-up look at that, you can see it does have some of the markings on there as well. The design, the details, and the proportions of this, I think, look really, really nice. So let's go ahead and check out the side of the box. Here we can see this is number 38 in the line that's almost over the hill. And on the bottom of the box here, we got that same close-up image right here. All the information on the box and in the instruction manual should be in Japanese and in English. There'll probably be a couple of sections of the instruction manual that are not in English, but we'll get to that. Advanced MS joint, which is typically originally used like for the inner frame of the RG kits, I think is primarily going to mostly be for the heat rod, and I think that's maybe going to be kind of about it. We'll see again once we get the box opened up here. Authentic appearance and posable frame, so it can transform. The transformation actually looks like that's going to be pretty good as well there. And then of course that massive beam weapon, that looks pretty awesome. We've got the sticker markings as usual, and here's how the kit is going to look, just snap built straight out of the box without anything else extra done to it. Around here on the top of the box, there it is, again with that awesome beam sword. You can get a look at the articulation kind of the wings, the backside of the model standing, and that's it. So let's get this opened up. As you can see, it's kind of standard RG size box here for this one. And we'll take a look. Oh, there's our advanced MS joint runner right there. And yeah, it does look like it's going to be pretty much just the heat rod. Oh, kind of interesting. Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. We do have a little advertisement in here for some metaverse stuff on the backside for the Seed Freedom movie coming out there as well. And the instruction manual is going to feature that close-up of the face there on the front. On the back side is our decal guide. The color chart is also down here at the bottom. Again, everything is in Japanese and in English, so if you want to match those colors exactly and not have to worry about translating any Japanese, don't need to worry about that. On the inside here is our parts list, and obviously this being a completely original kit, everything is going to be used. You won't have any leftover parts. Here in this first section, which is kind of typical to the real grade manuals, we have a couple of sections with additional photos and information. This is just kind of all about the Epyon, and again, everything here all ends Sex Marquis, the pilot, so we have some information about the pilot and the Gundam here in Japanese and in English. And what is also typical to the real grades, it's starting off the construction from the legs up. And as we move through the manual here, the waist section, the chest section, the arms, and then let's see, we get to our weapons section of the manual. Now again, as is unfortunately typically the case, the weapons section here has some more cool information, but it's only in Japanese. I don't know why they don't translate this. I guess they just figured that there's just not enough real estate, just not enough space here in the manual to also include the English translation for the weapons section. It's kind of weird, but after that, finally we get to the head, the backpack, and the weapons section. I think is probably going to be pretty straightforward. Basically just has like the heat rod and the shield and like the beam saber handle, and it's pretty much about it. But then we do also have the transformation, of course. So we have another photo color section over here about the transformation. This section also is only in Japanese there for its transformation, unfortunately, and the zero system. And there's the transformation to the finished result. Here's a look at our sticker decal sheet for this. Looks like most of the decals are going to be in like a light gray. We have our metallic ones over here, of course, for some details. A lot of these end up going on the frame typically. Then you have ones there for like some eyes and camera bits. Interesting that the majority of these are all in a light gray rather than I was expecting kind of white, but it looks pretty cool. We also have this black wire, which we're going to use for the beam saber, and this is pretty nice. It's about 15 centimeters in length. Then starting off with the runners here, we've got runner A. Now it is in 4 colors, although it may not be immediately apparent. We've got yellow across the bottom there, obviously clear green at the top, and then right here we've got kind of an off-white color for the majority of these, and then a couple of parts over here we have in a brighter white. You can kind of see the transition there between the two colors. Brighter white color there looks like parts for the face and around on the chest right there. And yeah, here's our advanced MS joint runner. This is number 21 advanced MS joint. We have a little part there for the face in black, and then the heat rod here, which is already pre-molded for you in the 2 different colors of that red and dark navy blue. This certainly makes construction easier, and that'll be pretty nice, but this is going to be a little bit more difficult to actually paint if you wanted to paint it in like anything more than just one single color. The runners C and D are going to be in our main dark red color here for most of the armor. There's runner C, runner D we have 2 of, for some parts for the arms, legs, and then wings on there, obviously. But then we have runners E1 and E2, which is a copy of this portion of the runner right here, which is in a slightly different, kind of more rich red color, if you can kind of see the difference between the two. It's in that typical RG style of having 2-tone colors for that, so it's nice to see that that's still continuing. Then we've got runner F1 and F2, which is going to be a copy of this portion of the runner right here in this dark navy blue color. And then lastly, basically all of our inner frame for the kit, since we don't have any on the advanced MS joint runner, this is going to be runners G and H. Runner G here is a bunch of the parts that are not doubled. Runner H, since we have 2 of, is going to be all the doubled parts for like in the arms and legs and elsewhere in the kit. As you can see, for the colors of these runners and for the inner frame is in this kind of dark gunmetal color, which should look very nice. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up. It looks awesome, fantastic build, and definitely check out the live stream. If you guys missed the live stream, you can go back and watch that just to see the whole thing in progress. But it's a really fun, very interesting build in true RG fashion. It has a ton of detail on there. It's really nicely detailed with all the little parts and everything going on for this build, and great color separation too. You have that typical RG multi-tone color there, which is really nice for that dark red with the kind of different tone accents in there for that. And again, I think just the details and proportions of this looks so nice here in 1/44 scale in the RGE line. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at all its accessories and gimmicks built into the kit. First off, for the accessories, I love the fact that we have a closed fist here included with this. No articulated hands at all, which some people may lament. For me, I don't mind it whatsoever. We've got holding hands there for the left and the right side, and then an open expressive hand like this for the left side only. And that's where we're going to have the shield and the heat rod. Now you can see there for the shield itself, really nice color separation there for that. The heat rod, the total length of this, including the shield, is about 19 centimeters in length. And this is all fully articulated. Can be a little bit stiff, so just make sure when you're moving this, especially the first couple times, and I really honestly wouldn't recommend moving it more than that anyway, 5, 10, 15, 20 times. The more you're gonna move around and these parts and play with this, the weaker everything's gonna get over time. So, but at least for the first couple of times you're gonna be moving this, just make sure you move everything really nice and slowly. The color separation and just the details on this also look fantastic, so that's gonna look really cool when this is posed. And then we've got the beam sword. Now here's just the handle for that. Now when this is just attached onto the kit, you have this piece here which connects onto the side skirt, and this opens up. This can be popped into place, and then this is for storing this in the side. Now when you want to have it in use, you're going to use this wire which has this connection piece. Now one of the connector pieces will connect up into here. You can close that back down again, so that's a nice firm connection into one end. The other end connects into the handle. The length of the wire is about 16 centimeters in length. That just connects into the handle there, and then we have our massive beam effect here for that. This is just under 15 centimeters in length, and that just clips into the beam sword like so, and looks really cool. Now you may notice one thing right here is we've got that little kind of stress mark on there. Unfortunately, there was a couple of spots, especially on this dark blue plastic, but there was a couple of spots where I did get a couple of stress marks on the part, so just make sure you're really careful just because of the shape of this. And you have a nub right at the end of there, so when removing that, make sure not to bend this because it's going to make a unsightly kind of stress mark there, if you don't plan on painting it, that is. Another notable one that I had was here on the backpack as well. You can see those little stress marks right in there in the center part of the backpack. Pressing this piece on, which is really nice in that it allows all that internal detail to kind of show through the gaps in this part there. But that does mean that there's going to be some fragile bits, and there's a couple of parts around on this kit, also the blue part here for the chest, for example, and some of these parts up here on the shoulders, where you're going to have some kind of very thin parts, and so you just need to be a little bit careful with the parts whenever you have a kind of a thin section of it. It could be bent and it could stress the plastic. The last couple things are our action-based connectors. Now one of these action-based connectors is for the kit when it's transformed into its flight mode, and the other one is for when it's just in its regular mobile suit mode. The nice thing about the connector for the mobile suit mode is that it doesn't plug up underneath the hips kind of as normal. It plugs into the base of the backpack, which is nice, especially when you have kits that have a large backpack. It's nice to have that added support, so you just move the thruster bells up like that, and this is going to plug up underneath there, right onto the back like so, and then you can plug this directly onto an action base just straight onto the back there like that. So that should make posing and stability of this really nice. Now we'll try out some poses and I'll show you guys how the kit looks transformed once we get to the last section of the review here, but I just want to talk a little bit about some more of the details and the articulation here of the kit. Now for one, starting off with the head here, we have the clear part that goes in for the eyes and the head camera. It also feeds through to the back there, and you'll notice there are these green circles there. That's all still part of the same clear green part that's there in the head. Now the cool thing about that is if you don't use those foil stickers to cover those clear parts, is that depending on how you have your lighting set up, if you just have a light source coming from the back, it should help to kind of actually illuminate the eyes and the head camera at the front with, if you have some light shining through the back there, so it kind of channels the light in. It does work slightly, kind of makes for a cool effect there, but the head itself will be able to point up nice and far there, all the way down to here as well. As for the clear green part there in the chest, I did go ahead and stick the mirror chrome sticker underneath that clear part so that that's looking nice and bright there. As for the torso section, it's kind of interesting how when you bend the front part forward, you'll notice this lower part right here at the front, kind of where the cockpit would be, I believe, that part actually kind of bends forward to move out of the way. You can kind of see that bend forward, and then when you push it back, you have to press that back in there like so. Let me do that one more time for you. So when you bend the kit forward, that part moves and kind of sinks down into there to be out of the way, so you can get a nice ab crunch there, which is really nice. We also have a nice bend here in the torso side to side for some nice articulation there. The shoulder joint will extend out a bit so that you can bring that really far to the front and to the back. You can raise the arm up really high as well. Now it's going to be fully extending that joint out and it's going to look a bit weird, but you can bring the arm up really high as a result. And the front and back sections of the shoulder armor, if you kind of pull this out and sort of detach it to the front a bit, extend it out to the front, that will allow it to move up nice and far there to get plenty out of the way. Otherwise, for the arm here, you're going to have rotation at the top of the bicep, a double joint at the elbow, which is going to give you a pretty full bend, but these claws are going to be getting in the way from doing a more full bend than that. The wrist is on a ball joint, but as you can see, we also have a joint there at the base of the wrist as well, so that'll be able to move further up and down like that. This little claw here at the back will move forward for the transformation. Also, the claws here on the forearm also will fold up, and those are going to extend forward there as well. Really cool that you even have a separate piece for like the metallic bit detail inside the yellow part there. So like I said, a lot of really great part separation on this, a lot of little parts. If you're not a fan of dealing with little tiny parts, you are going to have a little bit of trouble with this kit, I think. Down here in the waist section, you can bring those front skirts all the way up. Nice detail up underneath there, and so those are not going to be in the way of anything. These side skirts can also come out pretty far, so you should be able to get the leg pretty extended far out to the side there. The back skirt will not move up and down. It does separate in the middle. That's part of the transformation as is. It's just kind of meant to be fixed there like that. But the leg will rotate at the top of the thigh, and if you watch out for this fin on the knee, you can bring the leg up all the way nice and far to about 90 degrees there at the front. And then our knee joint is going to be a double knee joint here, of course, and when you bend that, you get some separation of this knee armor right there, and that fin looking really cool out the front. A lot of really great detail down here on this like very segmented sort of looking leg. The ankle joint is connected at the back, so it's just kind of floating off of a ball joint at the back of the leg. And interestingly, the ankle joint is a symmetrical piece, but it's asymmetrical in the fact that it has a fin either off to the left or the right side depending on the leg. Unfortunately, what you get with that is a kind of very empty looking hole on whatever side is not in use for the fin. So this is the same part, but if it's on this side, then you have a fin on this side and an empty space on that one. Opposite on the other side. I kind of wish they would have given you like a little cap piece or something like that just to cover up that kind of unsightly little hole there. But really great looking design and detail otherwise here for the leg, even down to the feet with the yellow and the clear green there in the foot. Obviously part of like the dragon heads for the transformation. On the underside, some nice detail there as well. And just in its mobile suit form, obviously the feet can point all the way down like that. And the front of the foot and back of the foot rotate independently, so that does make it a little bit hard if you're wanting to have this standing on the ground and not up on an action base. You want to get a flat stance, you have to adjust the front of the foot and the back of the foot independently and make sure that those are kind of like lined up so you can make sure that the feet are flat on the ground. But then of course, coming back around to the backpack here, obviously you can change the angle of the wings forward and back. can also extend them up, and that will extend these fins out like that, which is really cool. Then when you close this back down, it should close those in automatically, but you can kind of just help them along by pressing those in just to make sure that they're nice and secure. But again, really nice color separation here with these parts, but again, very thin parts. You're going to want to be really careful when putting those on. Just to show you guys this one more time, when you lift that wing up, it extends the fins out at the bottom. It looks really, really cool. So let's take a look at the transformation, and I've got to say, it's a kind of goofy transformation, but they did a pretty good job making it look really impressive here with this kit. Because from the same series, it is very similar to the Wing Gundam in that it pretty much just looks like a folded up Gundam, but I think just because of the Epyon being a little bit more different, a little bit more complex of a transformation, it does a pretty good job of kind of hiding the fact that it's just a folded up Gundam. And the whole dragon aesthetic is pretty unique here with this, well, kind of two-headed dragon there with the feet becoming the dragon's necks and heads is kind of interesting, and with the big wings and everything, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. Ultimately though, myself, of course, I prefer it just in mobile suit form, and that's how I'm going to keep it, and I think it looks awesome here. Having not built the MG, I can't really say too much about how it would compare with the master grade kit, but we'll have to build that at some point, and maybe you guys can give me some thoughts and recommendations regarding that kit. Kind of, if you have built that, how you think that it compares to this kit, you can let me know down in the comment section below. But for me, some of the main takeaways are just going to be the fact that the kit looks really great. All the details and proportions, as I've been saying, look so nice. I especially love how this kit looks when it's posed up. It looks fantastic in really cool action dynamic poses, and the part separation on it is fantastic. It is an RG kit, which, I mean, that's all kind of a part of the line, so it's not as though it's like a huge step above other RG kits necessarily, but it is keeping up with the line very well in the fact that it just has a ton of detail, a lot of really great part separation, and a lot of little parts. So just getting into one thing that I might say as maybe about a negative for this kit, if you're not sure that you're ready to deal with a lot of little parts, it can be a little bit challenging. You are going to want to take special care with some of the thin parts, like some of the fins that you have poking out all over the place, and then just some of the parts when you're putting it together. You have some quite thin sections of the parts that you're just going to want to be very careful with. Other than that, if you just treat it as a model kit and take your time with it and you're patient and you just follow all the instructions carefully, you won't have any issues with it, and I think you'll be very impressed with this kit. The one thing that I do kind of wish that this would have come with was an action base. I know it's unusual for RG kits, and a lot of kits don't normally include action bases, but this is one that I think in particular, just because of the transformation as well, I think really would have been nice to have an action base included in the box with this one. But I would highly recommend picking one up separately, because although the kit can stand on its own, obviously with those big wings on the backpack, it is going to be a little bit more of a challenging kit to get it to just be in a standing pose. So more than likely you're going to want to have this on an action base. And just to reiterate, I do really love the fact that the action base connects onto the backpack rather than up underneath the waist. That makes posing it on an action base that much easier, and so definitely going to be the way that I would recommend going about posing this. But I think that just about does it here for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this? I'm thoroughly impressed with this. Bandai continues to do a fantastic job with their real grade releases, so definitely check it out if you're a fan of the Epyon, if you're a fan of RG 1/44 scale kits, or just Gunpla in general. It was a really, really cool build. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, I'll leave a link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. You guys can check the kit out there, as well as many other different real grade kits and Gundam kits from Bandai. You can check out all that cool stuff there on the website, so check that out in the video description. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support, liking the video, commenting, subscribing. It really helps out and means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much for all of your support. Till next time, have a great day, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.